to the early morning, late night, early morning. I really wasn't. Oh, I did plan on coming on earlier, but I did a live on my other page, and I figured I might have done enough, and whatever. But I had to come on because I was listening to my local news. I mean, I listen to the news, but just there's a certain way you kind of have to listen to our news. I mean, you listen to the news, listen to media, to mainstream media news. At least for me, I listen to it for the information in which it gives, but I also have to be very careful in which uh, the way I absorb the narrative that comes with it. So, but really, that's not even the subject here. The subject that I have for today, or this morning, that the subject that brought me on this internet at this hour, was in reference to something that I'd already mentioned before. Uh, I, I, well, first of all, before I even get into it, today, I think it had to be today. Uh, President Joe Biden, who I affectionately refer to as Kind Master Biden, Mean Master Trump, he got voted out due to the fact that he was allegedly, oh well, reportedly, Mean Master. So when when Kind Master came in, everything was supposed to be all America. We thought that was America was about to be made great before, but then Kind Master came in, he brought America back, and then he said something in the effect of a speech talking about that he had told the French guy that something he had told somebody, a parliamentarian or something like that. He had said something to the effect that America's back, and then the politician replied to him, but for how long? That is part of the problem. I mean, and I thought about it, I said, well, you know, for you to say that America's back wouldn't imply that America was, you know, was down, and that really is a negative message, in my opinion, to kind of convey, especially in the presence of foreign officials. America's back. Where did America go? But that's still not the point what I'm trying to make. I said, let me play this little piece of tape here, and then I'll go from I'll go to how I connected these dots afterwards. I need shit to go.
We're not stopping here. I'm determined to ban assault weapons in this country. Determined. I did it once before, and I'll do it again. For many of you home, I want to be clear. It's not about taking away anybody's guns. In fact, we should be treating responsible gun owners as examples how every gun owner should behave. I have 2 shotguns at home. It's a long story, but I'm not opposed to guns. But I support the Second Amendment, and I support the Second Amendment. But the Second Amendment, as one of the most conservative justices in history, Justice Scalia once wrote, quote, like most rights, the rights granted by the Second Amendment are not unlimited. They're not unlimited. Right now,
Okay, so as you heard him say, there's a few things that are in there that are kind of worthy to unpack before I even begin. I still haven't really gotten into what I want to speak on. He said that he seeks to ban assault weapons. Uh, Something that always concerns me. I guess when you say something like assault weapons, they're all kind of the very nature of a weapon is to assault. Uh, I would believe that you would somehow name specifically what assault weapon. What do you mean by assault weapon? But that's of course we know that he means, I guess, the military grade type of weapons. The only uh, group of individuals who should have military grade type weapons, the type of weapons that would be able to cause a certain amount of damage in a relatively short amount of time if held in the hands of an irresponsible person. But I guess what is proposed is that even if you are a responsible person, you still won't be able to have access to it because they somehow reason with you that what logical they'll give the reasoning to you what do you need for such a weapon, and then I guess you could be foolish enough to try to explain why you would need such a weapon, but I guess it's not necessarily being foolish. I guess you could just say simply protection. You feel that this weapon will protect you significantly better than just a common weapon. It would imply that there's assault weapons and there's just weapons. But the point when he said that, something that I noticed, he said, uh, I did it. We got my plans to ban assault weapons. He said I did it before. So okay, it was done before. So another part of the speech that I saw, he was speaking in regards to I never supported defund the police. I guess I don't know if he never said I never said but he said I don't support defund the police. I don't support defund the FBI. So I guess it's pretty much fund. I guess by logical deduction, it means fund the police and fund the FBI. And that's given. So you have here these two pieces in which I put together was the fact that he said he done it before, he plans on doing it again. Now he also mentioned another gun law he just got passed, and it was the most significant legislation passed in the past 30 years or whatever. But evidently he has other plans as well. The first part of that, like I said, he said he had done an assault weapons ban previously, and then the second part is where he says where I said that I heard him say that he doesn't support defund the police or defund the FBI. Now, when one of the concerns that that people like myself had was the fact that Joe Biden's reputation in regards to legislation. And two of the significant pieces of legislation that he helped write and pass or what have you was one the Cocaine Sentencing Disparity Act in the 80s. He participated in that, and that is what when they say that make the statements that a certain amount of the sentencing was more harsh for rock cocaine versus powder cocaine, unprocessed powder cocaine. And most of those, since the rock cocaine was a cheaper drug of choice to produce, most of the time the people that were getting struck with the draconian sentencing were people who were in the possession or the dealing of crack cocaine. So that was one of the first laws. So what it did was like, okay, let's say for cocaine, you're gonna have a gram of cocaine, you give, maybe a max 5 years or something like that. But whereas if you have like a gram of crack, you might get 15 years, some shit like that. But okay, so the second piece was the omnibus crime bill of was it 94 crime bill, and that was what was allegedly but allegedly had the reputation of facilitating the prison industrial complex. Because what occurred at that point was that large amounts of federal money was made available, and they like to say, well, it was the state governments that introduced that built the prisons and things like that. But the reason that these states and local governments did that was because they in order for them to receive that funding, what they had to do to receive the funding, the large amount of funding that was produced by the provisions of the law that was the 94 crime bill law that was passed. In order to receive the resources from that bill, the guns or whatever, the equipment, the money, you had to somehow make your local sentencing guidelines either equivalent or even stronger than the federal guidelines. But I'm kind of dragging it on because I really was tripping off of it. When he stood on the stage and said, he was pretty much, I guess, and this was underneath the auspices, well, not I guess underneath the cover of criticizing those Republicans who would not condemn the hillbilly revolution in 2021, where the people that were upset that Trump lost the election. Well, allegedly lost, well, reportedly lost the election. They stormed. They stormed. They walked down, and, well, they allegedly. Well, they it wasn't allegedly. They reportedly they stormed the Capitol in in those terms, what have you. But basically, what Mr. Biden, the kind master, did today was he utilized the January 6 riots, the hillbilly revolution, which I refer to it because they all got together and had a mighty good time, even though there were a few blackens up in there. But that's aside from the point. He utilized that as a position to say you cannot say that you support law enforcement if you can't condemn the January 6th insurrection. They won't say riot. See, I say riot, and they don't even want to use the word riot. They say insurrection. I guess insurrection sounds somewhat more sophisticated than actual riot. But he used that in order to make an argument to say, well, you can't say that you are for law enforcement if that you won't condemn that because during that all types of law enforcement were heard, and he didn't go as far. He was very specific, and I paid attention. He was very specific to say he did not say that a police officer was killed there during the insurrection. What he did was, as he stated, as a result of the insurrection, I might as well say he utilized the term several police officers died. But let me get on past that because that's just too much. That's too much. I mean, really, the bottom line is that putting all this together, he said he's not for defund the police. He says he's trying to pass another assault rifle ban. He's utilizing the fact that since the Republicans don't want to condemn the insurrection, they're not tough on crime. They're anti-law enforcement. So he's for funding. He's not for defunding the police. He's not for defunding the FBI. Those are things, and what that is that he's utilizing the, in my opinion, from my perspective, from my editorialized my editorialized thinking process. No, I shouldn't say that. That doesn't make sense. But in my editorial, from what I believe, from what I presume, I can't speak with accuracy. I believe that he's utilizing the tough on crime, with the pretty much the Clinton campaign per se, because people were at desperate times, and you look at it right about now, there are a lot of crime has risen, during post the pandemic, and I guess the rising costs of things. So the crime has increased, and for him to go, I guess he went to I should know, but I know I do believe it was in Pennsylvania. I want to say Philadelphia, but he went to a large city, and I guess it's populated with a significant amount of black people. And then you have all these other large cities or whatever, and he hollers I don't even know where that would even come from. What he did was he utilized the insurrection to tie in. He's not for defund the police. He's not for defund the FBI. So I guess it would have been bad for optics if he spoke like specifically to those who are of the inner city. That he spoke to, say, if he just came out and spoke to the without said black on black crime without saying black on black crime. So it's like, well, you said he's going against these assault weapons. In my mind, it's crime bill 2.0. It's Joe Biden federal omnibus federal crime bill 2.0. Now this is something that we've already been speaking on because in the way things have gotten kind of reckless per se. You got people that make criminal threats on online. So it's coming, and then it's like I see the next picture I see is like they have these multicolored pills. They're fentanyl pills, and they look like candy. And they say one taste could kill you. Of course, just a very small bit could kill you. You could OD on it. And I heard a popular well, that's basically these pills is out here in the street. So if you're not careful, you might be just trying to get high, whatever, and you adopt these little pills. But let me get beyond. That's just one part of it. That's the drug part, where it's the drugs that will facilitate the violence, and the usage of these assault weapons. So that goes to the other part where I was like saying, well, assault weapons, they do have assault weapons, but there's also an invention. I don't know how old or new this invention is, but I know I recently heard about it in the past few years. It's called a switch. Where they may put this device called a switch onto an assault weapon, and it increases the amount of bullets that it shoot at a in a particular time. So with that, you got the drugs, and you got the switch, which will pretty much since you could use it as an adapter to, I guess, maybe not what might be considered an assault weapon and make it into an assault weapon. It's about to be all bad. And also, they have the prosecutor in Atlanta. What she's doing. She's in the Democratic Party enclave. So they're going along with the party, and it's not. And you look at it like this. Okay, there is violence in our community, and we do have problems, and these problems must be addressed. So, I guess in a way, a crime bill is not necessarily a bad thing. It's illegal already now. It's illegal in some states. I don't believe it's illegal in all in every state. Um, they're working now. Before, yeah, it may be illegal at this point, but I don't know. But if it and that makes up the argument all the more strong, because if it's already illegal and there's going to be increased legislation in regards to keeping the assault weapons off the street, then you're gonna get calendar years for. I mean, even if you might be what is considered a legal gun owner, and you have one, you mess around and lose your gun owner privileges, and also end up with a hefty amount of federal time with it. Depends on how they want to roll with it. But you had the lady down, and you had the prosecutor, the DA of Fulton County, who is pretty much not even fixing to play with people with it. because she's having multiple indictments being brought down. She's more famously known for bringing down Young Thug and Gunner, the YSL boys, and they have this evidence in which they've collected in regards to how they've attacked, how they I guess they robbed people like Marlo and Future's baby's mother, Brittany somebody, and they also attacked what they call social media influencers, or I guess maybe threatened them, or they had stuff. She mentioned kidnapping and stuff like that. So what it is just drawing. Okay, well, this is a problem. Crime is a problem, and the sophisticated crime is crime, and the crime is tied into the music. All you gotta do is listen to the raps. I ain't really mean to go in too long with that, but the bottom line is, as the title reads, man. You know, Biden is campaigning on the, in my opinion, is campaigning tough on crime stance, and in their campaigning for the tough on crime stance, they're formulating a in my opinion, what I would believe a crime bill 2.0, and it's going to cover a little bit more of the little stuff I'm talking about, because you think of it now, the way the situation is going economically, and the mental health of people is not necessarily improved, and also you also have the physical health with the existence of the COVID and the monkeypox. States and cities would do the same with tough on crime if they haven't already. I mean, they have they have done it to an extent to where, you know, I mean, how do I describe it, man? Because what the point that he really made for me is that I'm not for defund the police. I'm not for defund the FBI. What that is saying is that he's pretty much looking in the lines of reinforcing the existing police forces there. So even though they have to some degree, there's going to be some form of alteration to it, to where it's going to be a little bit more. I shouldn't say a little bit. It'll be more strict than what it is already. Um, because this is the point I'm missing. Because the fact of the matter is, like, and that's something else. The police, just like all the other forms of the labor force, the police are kind of like, are kind of shrinking. The police force is kind of shrinking. Up here, I live in Cook County, Illinois. There was a story on the news tonight where they were talking about how these police officers are overworked, and they have their days off canceled, and you know there are some that are committing suicide. They So it's like, well, we maybe we infuse some more money into the police department and law enforcement. Maybe we may make it easier for them by uh, being able to charge high wages or give certain other bonuses in order to reinforce the law enforcement, in order to enforce the new crime bill that I do believe is coming. I think what this campaign is for is to get together and rally the country around a tough on crime stance. The Republicans, they don't believe in crime. We believe in crime. They couldn't believe in being tough on crime or helping the police fight crime, if they're going to let all them people come up there and storm the Capitol. It's, I guess if he would, if Kyle Massa wasn't so old and his mental capacities wouldn't debilitate so much, if it was a smarter, slicker talking politician up there, it might be easier sell. But to me, all it is just it's game. And I just felt compelled to come on and speak on it, man. because I don't know, man. In my mind, it's just not necessarily. I want to see some form of getting better, and I mean by better, I don't mean just maybe 50 or 60 cents of the price of the gas going down. Because it's still higher than what it was, still over $1 higher than it was before. It started going up. I don't see it going too much better. I'm saying I don't see it going too much better. And with the introduction of this crime bill, they're already saying the money to reform. Huh? They said they came out saying monkey is from. I mean, oh yeah, monkey. Yeah. Oh well, I mean, they said it's some small parks variants, but they also said, the coronavirus came from a wet market in Wuhan, but they failed to also realize that there was also a laboratory in Wuhan testing coronaviruses. I'm just really blown by it because you know, just like the last crime bill, it's going to be collateral damage, and people are going to suffer. It may, I don't know. I don't know how well the last crime bill, how effectively that was at stopping crime. It sure didn't improve the condition of the neighborhoods. If anything, the neighborhoods were lost afterwards. But I think that's about all I got, man. I really just want to come on and bring that part out because they need it. They're throwing whatever iron they can in the fire. What Biden is trying to do is, I guess, pull whatever Democrats, well, no, whatever Republicans are on the fence, over to come over and maybe switch up and vote Democrat as opposed to going Republican. Actually, I should say independent voters, those in the middle voters, under the in the name of being tough on crime, in the name of fund the police, don't defund the police. Yeah, it is. I'm pretty much positive. It hurt in the long run the last time. I mean, like you see, came out and said, "I did it before. I would do it. I can do it again." And then the funny part about it is while he was vice president, the so-called president, well, I shouldn't say the so-called, the president at the time, uh, Barack Obama, I affectionately call him Bro Obama because he's my bro. But Barack Obama came out, and supposedly had signed something or passed some form of law that was supposed to halt that disparity in which like I spoke of, the crack and the powder cocaine disparity. They were gonna cut that disparity out, and you know those who had already been sentenced that were affected. I guess I thought it was my understanding that they were supposed to get out. I don't know how that worked, but I do know that there was the First Step Act that came under the following underneath Mean Master Trump, and when they signed that over, a whole bunch of people got out. You know, it's all a game, really. It's both sides playing the middle. You know, the Republicans and the Democrats. It's all the same. It's all one system of power. I guess controlled by different interests, centralized power. I don't know. It's all bad, man. He ain't talking about sending no stimulus check. They sending money everywhere else, but you know, I think the country might cheer up a little bit if somebody got a little cash infusion. You know, they got money to send everywhere else and do use for other things. There's been storms and people been flooded out, and you know it's just been America's had a tough time. But like I say, I need to get on off here, man. And I do appreciate you for coming in through. I think that's. I'm so blind. I see what it is, and I still got to act like I don't see. I appreciate you for coming through, Mr. Bennett. Um, I just wanted to wrap a little taste before I laid my head down. I worked a second shift, so this pretty much is like to me, I guess, to a regular 9 to 5 working person. I guess I'm somewhere along the lines, 11:30, 12 o'clock. probably probably sending other places for benefits for them. Like, uh, man, I mean, this is the country we live in. That they said if we voted in, well, I didn't vote because I know, I didn't. I wanted to be able to stand back and say I had not a damn thing to do with the person they got in there. Because you were ashamed if you I guess they said in order for you to stay black, you had to vote for Joe Biden. I said, well, hell, I'm gonna be black regardless, even if I don't vote for Joe Biden. But I guess maybe I might uh, lose a little pigment. I guess according to some people, I'll lose some pigment if I just jumped out the window and voted for Donald Trump. But in my mind, that wasn't gonna make no difference anyway, because I live in a Democratic enclave. So regardless of how I would have voted, it still was gonna the state was still going to go to the blue. But cheers. Y'all have a good morning, uh, good evening, and however it play out for you. Peace and love to all. Thank you for coming through again, Mr. Bennett. Later on.